Hello, everyone. Welcome to Snap Take. This is Glazer of Snap Judgments, the official podcast of Marvel Snap Zone. What we have today is Lambie Day. One of the people that releases a deck, releases some content that we always talk about is Lambie, the best player in all of Marvel Snap. Lambie went a completely stupid, completely bonkers, completely and utterly ridiculous 20-0 in Conquest Infinite today. 20-0. That's what you saw in the thumbnail. That's why some of you clicked this video. That's completely nuts. He used two decks to do so. One was 5-0. I thought this was going to be the best deck of the game. I was all ready to come on and talk about this being the best deck in the game. Cozy talked about it. Everyone talked about it. It's been everywhere. You've probably seen it since yesterday. But the 15-0 was still our old friend Loki. So we're going to talk about both of these decks. Both are taking advantage of the new card Mobius and what they do. Before we do, I'd like to invite you to hit that sub button, like, and comment. If you're willing, we give you 2 brand new decks every weekday that keep you ahead of the Marvel Snap meta, proven decks that can help you achieve your goals in Snap, whether that be Infinite, Climbing Post-Infinite, or those Infinity Borders. In addition, we're currently doing the biggest giveaway in Marvel Snap. We're giving away 15 season passes in 3 different ways. Finally, going live today on Marvel Snap Zone will be an article that you can hit. If you enter Marvel Snap Zone, you have a chance for one of 5 season passes. You'll also have a chance for one of 5 season passes by entering on our Twitter. There's a whole bunch of instructions here, but they are also found on the Twitter, and that is linked in the description to this video. Finally, you can subscribe right here, right now. Hit that sub button. Comment any video from, I gotta change that it says this one. Comment any video from Mondays until this coming Sunday. As long as you've done those 2 things, you are entered to win one of 5 season passes. And you can enter multiple times just by commenting on videos every day. Nice and simple. All right, we believe in deck credits here on Snap Judgments because not that parallel creation does not happen, but more importantly, people put a lot of work into these decks. They put a lot of effort into these decks. They are builds that take people's time and brain power, and I believe in honoring that and showing that respect, even if we can't be perfect about it. Lambie is the pilot for today's decks, but I don't believe the creator of either. So Lambie can be found on twitter.com/LambieSeriesGG or twitch.tv/LambieSeriesTV. Watching Lambie play Snap is brilliant. You should really check him out on Twitch, by the way. Den, as far as I know, created the first deck, the Loki, the Kitty Shuri deck in this exact version. At the very least, he is the person I saw that had it in his pre-release article that went up before Mobius's release. Since he's the first one that had that brew, since he's the one who released the article before release, I'm crediting Den. I'm sure several other people had it very similar, if not exactly the same, and probably exactly the same decks. Tara Jan, another one of the best players in all of Snap, is the maker of the Loki deck that went 15-0. Lambie says, I just went to Dara's deck and pulled it and ran it, and that's what I went with. So, those are the decks. Let's talk about them now. The first deck is Lambie has titled The Mountain. This is the one that Den released before Mobius's release. And again, this was not like some unseen brew forthcoming. Basically, what Mobius means is that your kitty can always be played with either can always be played on 4 with Shuri and on 5 with on 5 with Shuri and on 6 with Taskmaster. It says nothing is getting in the way of that outside of, I guess, board space and junk messing you up. You can always make that play. And when you can make that play, it's extremely powerful because Kitty gets bigger not only by her own power, but also from Forge, from Shuri, and from Hulkbuster. So you often end up with like a 20 plus power kitty that you're copying with Taskmaster at the end of the game. It's really easy to throw a priority and win with this deck. You have to be wary of Alioth, but if you're careful with armor, and you use vision wisely in games where you suspect they might have Alioth, it's not that hard to win at all. A 16 power vision isn't as good as a 20 plus power kitty, but a 16 power vision followed by a 16 power Taskmaster and a like 8 power kitty wins an awful lot of games of Marvel Snap. You also have the backup plan of Old Faithful, Shuri Red Skull Taskmaster, not as good as it used to be. Still kind of OP. Alright. You're going to need Kitty for this deck. This is a Kitty Pride deck more than anything else. You're also going to need Mobius if you are seeing any wave. If wave is in your meta, you must have Mobius, or your last turn plays are completely shut down. Everything else here, Series 3. Look at all the Series 3 cards. It's beautiful. Okay. Turn by turn. Go tall, lose priority, win. Turn 1, Kitty. Turn 2, a 2-drop. You can very rarely afford to play Kitty on 2 because Armor, Mobius, and Angela are all reasonably important and you're not going to have another chance to play them. You can, if you have enough other stuff set up, forego Angela. Turn 3, another 2, and Kitty. Forge is as the ideal 2 here because that's going to give Kitty a pump. But now you're really hoping you dropped Mobius or Armor, whichever one you needed for that matchup on 2. Because on turn 4, you're Kitty and Hulkbustering. You can Shuri if you don't have Kitty. This is where the second backup plan kicks in. But you can Shuri if you don't have Kitty, you're Kitty and Hulkbustering. And if you don't have Hulkbuster with Kitty, this is where you play that other 2. There are some games where it's appropriate to forego Forge or Hulkbuster and just play the... Excuse me, my alarm went off. There are some games where it's appropriate to forego Forge or Hulkbuster, not both, but one, to get like Armor and Mobius down because you think they're running both Alioth and Wave. Fine, do so. That'll be fine. That's more likely to win you the game than just a taller Kitty that they can destroy. Turn 4, Kitty and Hulkbuster. If you don't have... I said that already. If you don't have Kitty by this point, you're Shuriing, because Shuri can be followed by Red Skull or Vision and Taskmaster, and that works completely fine. I am a really big fan of Shuri Vision in this meta. I think it's one of the better plays you can make. I think Vision probably needs to start going into more decks because Alioth exists. He's just a great way to get enough power to win a lane without putting you at risk of blowing yourself up, which is, reasonably important to Marvel Snap right now. If not, on turn 5, you're playing Shuri and Kitty, doubling that power. It's almost always like 20 at this point, which is obviously an awful lot of power. And if it's like 12, then you don't have to, like, right? If Kitty's only 6 at this point, 7 at this point, you don't have to double it. But, like, look, it's still pretty damn good, right? Like, you're still getting 28 power on that last turn with Taskmaster. It's not getting 56 power like you could with Red Skull Taskmaster, but it's enough to win a lot of games of Snap. Again, know what your opponent is doing. If they've been passing a lot of energy, you need to be paying attention because a giant Hulk can go over. Final turn is usually Kitty and Taskmaster. Even if you, like, went Shuri into Red Skull or Vision, and then you're going to Taskmaster that, you're still have the extra energy to play Kitty after Taskmaster. It just changes the order you play the 2 cards. That's the deck. It's super simple. I tend to snap if I have Armor, Mobius, and Kitty, right? Like if I have Kitty and ways to do the things, I'm snapping. If I have Taskmaster and Kitty, I'm usually snapping. I try and wait till about turn 3 to make sure that like nothing is ruining my life. But as long as it's not, I'm pretty satisfied. Also, this deck is really great, really great at unreachable locations because of both Vision and Jeff. So feel free to go to town. All right. Ooh. Next up, we are going to take a look at the variants in this. A lot of bundle variants in this. This is a Kitty bundle variant and a Red Skull bundle variant for me. I usually use a different Kitty. You'll see that Kitty in the video later today, I believe. Oh no, you'll see that Kitty in the next deck today. Sorry, we're doing 2 videos today. I feel like it's worth it. We've got this Red Skull bundle because that Red Skull bundle was great value. I hate Red Skull. I don't like that the Nazi is one of the most powerful cards of the game, but what are you going to do? Kitty is awesome. One of the best cards in the game. I really like. This was the Kitty of my youth. When I first started reading comics as a kid, it was this Shadowcat that was Kitty Pride. I recognize that Xavier's uniform is more iconic right now. I don't love this Angela, but it's one of the better chibis. I don't know why Angela has seemingly 2 chibis, but whatever. I hate this Forge, but it's the only Forge I have. Need an armor. We've got our standard Hip Jeff, because that is the only Jeff that matters. That's the cutest damn card in the world. I am urging this Hip Mobius to come into my shop. Hopefully, by the time you are watching this video, I will be the proud owner of this Hip Mobius. I think it's one of the best variants in the game. I have 2 Hulkbuster variants. I have this one in the blueprints. I like this one better. I've got 2 Shuri variants. Eventually, I'll show you that other Shuri, because it's gorgeous. But I really like the Shuri. I like the Black Panther thing. I really enjoyed Black Panther too. I know a lot of people didn't, but I did. This is the only Taskmaster and Vision I have. They're both completely fine. And I have 2 Americas. You'll see the other one later. I think this is the secondary America. I kind of put my less favorite variants when I had 2 into this deck. I guess outside of Shuri. Because I don't like this playstyle. I think it's probably one of the 2 or 3 strongest things we can be doing in all of Marvel Snap right now, at least until next week's patch, or God, hope the OTA, but probably until next week's patch. This is going to be like probably the easiest deck to play at a high level, I think is what I'll say. Excuse me. This is one of the top 10 decks in all of Marvel Snap, probably one of the top 3 decks in all of Marvel Snap, and it is by far the easiest to pilot. So check it out. Try it. You won't be sad. Next up, we have Loki All In. This is called Loki All In because it doesn't bother with like a Devil Dino backup plan. This deck wants to Loki and it wants to win by Loki, which means the draw cards and Collector are the most important parts of the deck. If you can get Loki and Collector going, almost no matter what else, you're very likely to win that game. Snap. You have Cosmo because Galactus is a card largely, and you have Galactus and a couple things like it's so they can't shang you, so no nonsense can really get in your way. And you have Quinjet to make things cheaper, but like Quinjet is almost at this point a nice bonus, not a necessity. What my favorite part about Quinjet often is that I can use the Snow Guard Bird the same turn I Loki because I like Lokiing on 4 with this. You can obviously Loki on 3 or 5 just fine. Loki is insanely powerful and versatile, but 4 is generally my preferred time because it gives me some time to like sort of try and get around their Mobius. If I'm Lokiing on 4, I can sort of dump on 5 and then see where I am on 6. Replacements. Mobius can be Rogue. I think one of the easiest replacements for most Loki decks for Mobius is Rogue. You just instead of you just basically take their Mobius instead of worrying about it. It also has the added benefit of hitting their Dark Orc, their Devil Dino, etc., etc. Legion can be Devil Dinosaur. It's no longer all in, but I think that's still the best backup plan. Your other option here is Vision. I think Vision is also very good, as we talked about in the last deck. Kitty can be Nightcrawler. Again, significantly worse, but at least you have the move option, is relatively powerful. Snowguard can be Agent 13, because that's another way to draw cards. It's not 2 cards, 1 card is significantly worse, but it is still very, very good. Okay. Loki is still number 1. This deck went 15-0. Turn 1, Quinjet is probably your first option. Quinjet's not as good as KM Best taught us against Loki mirrors, where you just want more cards in hand. You want the biggest Loki you can find. But because you want to steal their Loki and their Collector, right? So you just want a big Loki to give you more chances of doing that. That's how you win the game, the mirror. But outside of that, Quinjet's a very good card, especially if you're playing against like a Hulk Doomwave type deck, right? Because like a 4-cost 12 power Hulk isn't as good as their 620, but it's still pretty darn good and gonna win you a lot of games of Snap, right? Snowguard gives you 2 cards, and Kitty is nice. I don't think Kitty is necessary here. Like, I know that everyone loves Kitty in these decks, and I think she's good, but it's not a priority. It's just a way to get some extra power for the games you're not Lokiing. But if you're not Lokiing, you're probably running. This deck doesn't, like, try and do as many other things as many of the other decks do. Turn 2 is Collector. Collector is the second most important card in the deck. Turn 3, Snowguard plus Mobius is a really nice play. It draws you 2 cards. Or just Coulson to draw you 2 cards, but this is your basic only chance to get Mobius out. Puts in a cup power on a Collector. If you had Quinjet, you can Loki and play a 1-drop. If you just want more cards of theirs, you just drop Loki and draw a bunch of cards. You should be drawing at least 5 cards with Loki, hopefully 6. Turn 5 is new cards or Legion. Turn 6 is new cards or Chavez. Sometimes you Loki on 5 and play more draw stuff on 4. That's it. That's the whole deck. It's a really, really, really strong deck. It's probably the best deck in the game, the most versatile deck in the game. Playing opponent's cards, but cheaper is great. Opponent's Mobius is mildly annoying at best. As long as you have your own Mobius, so you're not getting stomped out, opponent's Mobius is just, you're like, oh, I guess I should play around that, and then you do. This is the best deck in Snap. It's also one of the highest skill cap decks in Snap. This is... So when everyone was saying Shuri Red Skull was the best deck, right? The only deck that was really as good was the Thanos Valkyrie lockdown thing. It was a Lamby deck you hold a Valhalla. It was my favorite deck in all of Snap for probably the history of the game. That deck, I think, was better than Shuri Red Skull, but Shuri Red Skull is the one that got nerfed into Oblivion, right? I think the difference is that that deck was way harder to play. I think Loki is like that, where it's way harder to play, but also the best deck. Although I think it's enough the best deck that I'm not super worried about it. Variant quick look. This is the Kitty I prefer. I really love it. Pretty soon I'm going to get that gold. This is the best Quinjet. I have two snow guards, this and this. This one's better. Wish this was Spotlight. This is a nice bundle Angela. We, as always, have our hips. We've got our hip collector, our hip Mobius. I also have hip Legion, but it's a toss-up between which of the Legions I like more, so I switch back and forth. They gave us the best Loki for free with the Loki Season Pass. I have two Coulsons. I think I've decided I like this one better, because neither one feels especially Coulson, and this one is a terrible. This Cosmo's adorable. Sentinel is a Season Pass variant, and this is the America that I was telling you is better than the last America Chavez. I just opened this. Like my last two variants opened, I believe, are that Snow Guard and that America Chavez. So let me just say, I'm pretty satisfied with the way my variant game has been going right now. Also nice. This deck has zero base card. Sorry, zero base cards outside of Mobius, who again, by the time you're watching this, will be my card. All right, that's it for today. These are two of the three best decks in Snap, I think. The third of the three will be our video this afternoon. Marvel Snap has a new #1 ranked player, which means a new #1 ranked deck. It's not Loki, and it's not Shuri Kitty. Please stay tuned this afternoon to check it out. Hit that sub button, like, comment, help us out. Free to you. We appreciate it. Peace.